Alright, this is 1.0 of the Ripwire and Terra build. This build just destroys and annihilates everything. Like, this Totem build is so good, so safe. It destroys the vision and counterplays the whole vision because I got really frustrated. I was like, I need to make Divine Orbs now. Everyone's going to be playing Last Epoch like literally tomorrow. When they leave, all the prices are going to get very expensive in the gear that I'm going to buy. So I came with a solution. I'm like, you know what? I need to stop the vision. No vision. We don't do the vision here, and destroy the whole vision game plan. This is what this build exactly does. And for the gems, it's fully perfect with my Rip Wire Ballista. All the gems have to be green, but the reason why that has to be all green is the integrated efficiency, which increases your skill speed 6% per green socket support gem. So with these green gems right here, that gives me 36% increased skill speed, which is super good, and it makes my attacking super duper fast. And then over here, I get more quality, which actually focuses more on the pin, enemies pin, as though they're dealing 80% more damage, and with the quality makes it more stronger, which is pretty awesome, pretty dope. Um, and then same goes for the armor piercing. So the gem sockets I have is martial tempo, overabundance, which gives me another totem, which gives me 4 totems maxed. And what I'm doing is actually I'm experimenting with poison at the moment. So they have a 50% chance to poison, and then extra limit of having poisons can be stacked on a monster. So 2 poison dots as currently what I have at the moment. And then the main kicker that really makes the DPS go wicked insane is Impale. So Impale is super super cool because not only that has a cool visual effect where all the minions are covered with these cool spikes and they're like literally impaled, like you just threw like a gazillion like 50 cal javelins. They're like 50 cal javelins that just destroy everything. So when you have 4 ripwire ballistas firing at a target, each of those totems stack their own impale. So what's happening is that all of those 4 totems, there's a maximum of 60 impale stacks that you can get. They're all wailing on a target. They're just accumulating so many stacks so fast. And with the armor piercing rounds, you're shooting a super insane machine gun with these armor piercing rounds. And every single bullet of those rounds procs the impale. It literally just obliterates enemies at a rapid rate. The damage is out of control, and then plus, especially with armor piercing rounds, that it breaks the armor, making you do more physical damage to the target. It's just a wombo combo. It's literally just a wombo combo of super awesome brokenness. And then for the max attack speed, so to get max attack speed, you have to at least summon 4 totems. And then when you have 4 totems and you summon like an extra one after that, pause the game when you look in the passive skill tree. Then you go back to your tip tool, and then you'll see that the attack time 2.4 a second. And the best way to calculate it, in 2 seconds, they have attacked 5 times roughly, which would be 2.8. But you just kind of want to round it up, and then they're at least attacking every 2 seconds. They're attacking 5 times, so that's super rapid. You times the 5 by 4 because you have 4 totems. That's 20 shots every 2 seconds. So this is just pure machine gun annihilation bullets from your totems and your armor piercing rounds together. So yeah, it's just basically the companion, the Herald Blood, the armor piercing rounds, and the Ripwire totem ballistas. I'm gonna mess with the weapon set. That's what the next video is gonna be. It's gonna be a more defined version of this whole build. At the time when I was making this character and even making this video now, is that I was a race against the time. I actually had to hurry up with my currency farming before last epoch happened, so I didn't really have time and luxury to sit there and for hours and hours and hours to look at the build because there's a lot of people that's going to leave tomorrow to play last epoch, and I could just imagine the prices and some of the gear is going to be super expensive because there's no players because the community is upset, and there's not going to be a lot of people playing Path to Exile tomorrow. and maybe for the week or the month. So I needed to hurry up and currency farm as fast as I could and not run the risk of like, oh, all of a sudden there's one thing that costs 12 divine orbs is now like 30. I don't want to run into that situation. So the next video when I work on this character, it's going to be more redefined. So now I actually can sit down, mess with the weapons set, and the way that I want to do it is that when I summon the totems, all the totems are using the totem modifiers, and then when I'm using the armor piercing rounds, all this gets unsocketed and goes into like bleeding. Let's see, let's go to bleeding. And then, all these points get unsocketed and they all go to these bleeding modifiers or more physical damage when I'm using armor piercing rounds. So there's notables right here that can get right away with bleeding. And then I'm just really close to more bleeding mods over here as well. This is here as well. So there's a lot of things that I need to experiment with, and then all that's left is that we got to talk about the passive skill tree and the gear, and then that is pretty much it. So for the starting zone, all I did is I focused on the attack speed, going all the way down, projectile damage, and then right away I'm just racing all the way down to get the totem notables and also picking up the jewel sockets. And then more totem notables here. And as you see, I'm grabbing every attack speed notable that I can for the totems. Over here, I've got sand in the eyes. Not only my attacks can cause blinding, but it gives me tons of attack speed, so definitely grab that. This is more late game when you get to level 90, but I went over here, got more skill speed, more attack speed from my guy, and then Falcon Dive, which increases your attack speed for every accuracy rating. So with my gear, when I get super rich and super rich and all that fun jazz, I want to focus on getting accuracy rating and super perfect dexterity and all that fun jazz with my character. But yeah, when you're leveling up though, just it's all in the pace bin. I'll have different sections. You just go down this way, focus on getting max totems, and then you're gonna work this way to get the next set of totems right here. That gives you more attack speed and damage. Grab the jewel notable if you have this jewel set. More skill speed here, which is nice, and also helps mitigate the life costs, which it'll take 6% of it and convert it to life because totems are expensive. So your life will help. So you want to have dual attack speed on your gems. There's a modifier for your crossbow for attack speed and also a normal regular attack speed, and then always damage of some form. So it's pretty much just personal choice from here on out because my character is level 90, but it's a lot of attack speed, a lot of damage. It's super fun. It's super safe. You just mow down tons of enemies. You nuke bosses. The last thing to discuss is the gear. When I got this crossbow, it cost me exactly 5 exalted orbs, and I was sitting there like, whoa, like what the hell's going on? These prices are so cheap. And then everything else with all the gear, all this cost me about 5 exalts to 10. I don't ever remember paying 20 exalts or anything like that. Like all, like my jewelry, my chest, my gloves, my boots, my belt. 5 to 10 max, really. Just remember the key kicker is that you're just focusing on your totems mostly, and the 7 plus to all projectiles is all you really need for your totems because the totems are their own weapons, so you don't really have to worry about any other stats that are on the crossbow. So the physical damage, the fire damage, the lightning damage, all that you see right now, that does not apply to your totem at all. The only thing that will apply to the totem is the more elemental damage to attacks. That's the only thing that will affect it on the crossbow. But other than that, just the 7 plus to all projectiles is all you need. But what does work, adding physical attack damages to attacks from your rings. This applies to your totems. So anything outside the weapon, any stats that affect your attacks will apply to your totems. It just cannot be on from your crossbow weapon. So everything else outside, like my rings and my gloves, it does work. Yeah, you see I have physical damage on my gloves and on the rings, and on all the gear pieces. I focus on life and mana because the totems cost a lot. The totems cost 267 each to summon. So having a lot of mana regeneration on both of the rings helps with the cost of summoning the totems. So you just have to keep that in mind. Just basically your defenses, having mana, and just adding more physical damage to your attacks and life. I mean, that's pretty simple. So yeah, that is it for the build, and everything's updated on the path of building. It's super fun. You can just level up very easily, no problems, and it's just really smooth progression. And most importantly, it counters the vision gameplay and pinning the monsters down and not getting hit and all that fun jazz. So it's definitely an A tier build. But S tier, like the one shot nuking bosses and all that stuff. I'm sure I can eventually get there with like godly gear, maybe, but that is for the time to tell, and if I'm still playing this game or not, because I know the community's upset. They're all playing Last Epoch right now. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon for Last Epoch. I'm really not in the mood to play any ARPGs at the moment. I'm kind of burnt out. And I've been really relaxing playing old retro games and just letting my mind just shut off, because going back to the past has brought up really old feelings. And the golden age was a different time, and like more that I play retro games and games from the past, more as like I find myself in just reminiscing the good times and not the hellish life that we live today in the modern age. But anyway, um anything further that updating this build is going to be more tuned and defined in 1.1. I hope this build helps you guys out, and you guys have a wonderful day.
and goodies, a venomous fight, spreading division, the hateful blight. Echo chambers forming a distorted line, reality distorted left far behind.